How fucked are we?
Hey, I thought you said no cursing on the show.
I
I
think we
mean,
have to boy. There's no
yeah, I
other
mean,
way.
things aren't looking good. Not even like from a man like the Democrats. No, like from America, like the stock market is tanking. Which everybody's getting upset about the stock market. If he undoes the tariffs tomorrow, it immediately bounces back. So the stock market's the least of our concerns. Like that could bounce back
It
quickly.
might bounce back, but I mean, he's just creating instability within the stock market. I don't know if it's going to bounce back all the way
Yeah,
unless he like completely rights the ship on that. But I'm actually talking about all these things that he's doing, like firing all these federal workers. He wants to sell off the national parks. He wants to deregulate all of the FDA and the Environmental Protection Agency. How, like when Trump's out of office in 4 years after like things are on fire, like how we need to have an expert on to figure out like
how to build it
if,
back.
how, yeah, if and how we can build it back.
Uh, so real quick, you made a comment about like I don't know if you said FDA or EPA, but I gotta address Maha real quick. The RFK voters that voted for Trump because Robert F. Kennedy is gonna make America healthy again. Like there's 3 years and 10 months left, so maybe he'll get things turned around. But so far, those people have been had. Real quick,
Yeah.
RFK. First of all, the other day, and he has said numerous times that the MMR vaccine, which I don't even know what that stands for, measles, mumps, and rubella, or so, I don't know.
Hmm.
But he has said how dangerous it is, and he got it when he was a kid. And his kids got it when they were little, but if he had to do it all over again, if he had young kids today, he would not give it to his kids and all the dangers behind it. Now we have a measles outbreak, and he came out, I think it was on Sunday, and he wrote a opinion article on Fox News urging people to get the MMR vaccine. So good, they should, but like I immediately went to Twitter and just like searched Maha, and man, people were very upset. The Maha people feel like they've been betrayed. On top of that, just as another, the EPA is advancing a proposal right now that will block states from basically having to put on the labels of food when there's toxic chemicals, like chemicals that have been linked to cancer. They're making it to where the states don't have to put that on the food labels anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna keep using the chemicals, and we're not gonna tell you that they're in your food. And then if you remember,
No, this is just a Monsanto like
oh yeah,
do whatever you want. Hey
so
Monsanto, do whatever you want.
and
Poisonous.
the other side of that is like 3 weeks ago, Biden had done an executive order about the PFAS, the forever chemicals,
Huh?
and Trump undid that immediately. So if you wanted to get all these chemicals out of our food, like it's going in the opposite direction. And RFK doesn't seem to care. He actually, the only thing I've seen him really done concrete so far is he put out a statement this morning saying that he's going to use the power of HHS to combat anti-Semitism. Uh, I'm failing to understand how that has to do with HHS, but he put out a big statement about that. It went along with Trump. He had a statement where he's basically saying that they're trying to make protesting on college campuses illegal. Which at the end we're going to talk about how to spot if your country's slipping towards authoritarianism. But
Oh yeah.
that's one of the big ways is when they try to eliminate your ability to protest. But yeah,
Well, yeah, what's next? Yeah, are they just gonna make protesting illegal altogether? I mean, this is getting
yeah.
into crazy territory.
Well,
And I sent this video to somebody and it's like it said something about I'm actually trying okay, here it is. Things China has done since Donald Trump became president. China to launch 30 new clean energy product projects in Africa. China to build world's largest dam in Tibet that will generate 300 billion kilowatt hours of hydropower a year. China unveils its next generation high-speed train that is the world's fastest. China artificial sun, I don't know what that is, sets a new world record by generating plasma for 1,066 seconds, taking us closer to limitless clean energy.
okay.
China launches the world's largest amphibious assault ship. China releases new AI model DeepSeek for free public use and wiping out 1 trillion in US stocks. China starts testing 6G internet, beating Elon Musk's Starlink. China unveils its first sixth generation fighter jet. China to launch 1 kilometer wide solar farm in space, 10 times more efficient than standard solar.
I saw that. They're going to put a huge satellite with like solar panels that's what do you say it was 1 kilometer wide or something? Read it. It's
One
it's
kilometer
something
wide.
yeah, I saw that. That's scary. I said for months leading up to this that if Donald Trump wins and does all the things he's saying he's going to do, the winner is China. Like China is going to be loving this. And I go back to all the people that were like, "Oh, Trump's not really going to do." Hey, he's doing it. Like, I
Well,
yeah,
what are we doing? We're focused on this other stuff like not protecting Zelensky and like having these crazy meetings where he gets in an argument with another world leader who's supposed to be our ally instead of like focusing on this stuff, you know, progressing our society. We're just bringing our society backwards, and China is like going full steam ahead.
yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know. This is like I might just move to China.
There's not going to be any good. Like I was joking around about this with my wife, and it was like, well, the economy looks like it looks like we're definitely heading for a recession, and I'll tell you all the indicators of that in a second. But I was like, well, time to get out of here. Like, where are we going? And it's like, well, Canada, you're not going to go to because right now with the trade war, that's the trade war officially kicked off last night at midnight. We'll talk about that in a second. But like, Canada's no good. I'm not going to Mexico. Europe, I don't know that I'd go to right now. Like, they're
They
Australia.
don't want us. Nobody wants us.
I'm
Nobody's gonna
supposed
want us.
I'm supposed to
Thing.
go to Ireland in May, and I was telling my family that I'm going with. I was like, yeah, they're not going to take well to us Americans over there. And
No.
one of my family members that is R-worded, she was like, she was like, oh, they love us over there. Everybody loves Americans. And I was like, are you not paying attention to right now? Like, maybe at different points in history, but right now we're not going to be well received. I'm going to buy a like a maple
No.
leaf hat and like
We
I'm gonna
have
buy.
we've not really been like wanted in Europe for a while.
They
Like
definitely think we're a joke.
yeah.
Again, I'm
Now
gonna.
it's worse, but since like the Iraq Afghanistan war, like we're just going to war for no reason.
Yeah, well, Trump's
Or
gonna
well,
save
for
that.
our own reasons.
Trump said no new wars, so maybe we'll fix that. Real quick, we got to address a couple things right off the bat. Trade war started last night. Trudeau, I don't know if you saw Trudeau's press conference this morning. He's only going to be the leader for like 4 or 5 more days, so he's leaving swinging, I guess you would say. But he went kind of hard at Trump this morning. The Washington Post, who is a very right wing newspaper, they put out an article this morning, and it basically said Trump's a smart guy, but this trade war is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Trudeau quoted that, and he talked directly to Donald through the TV. Um,
Hmm.
they put their own tariffs on us, so now it's officially a trade war because they're fighting back. Our quarter 1 GDP, which our GDP has been looking good even during inflation, our GDP was good. It was estimated 4 weeks ago. It was estimated to be at 2.8, which was going to be down a tad from where Biden had it, but still decent, good growth. And now they're estimating it to be negative. See here, negative 2.8. Sorry, it was supposed to be positive 2.6, and now they're saying it's going to be negative 2.8. A recession is when you have 2 straight quarters of negative growth. So
Uh-huh.
we're look like we're going to have the first one here, and maybe these projections are totally wrong, and it won't be. But it looks like we're going to be not just a little negative, negative 2.8. That's the economy retracting. People are wondering why is that happening? Because of the uncertainty that Donald Trump he loves the chaos. Businesses don't like that. Businesses don't invest and expand when there's such chaos and uncertainty.
No.
So we're
Well,
looking a little bit in trouble there. Also,
do you
real
think
quick,
that he's trying to make good on his promise that he's going to bring down inflation?
no, he's
Because if he
not.
fixes the economy, inflation tanks too.
The point of tariffs is to raise the prices on stuff. Like that is what tariffs are meant for, is to bring prices up. Now it's to bring prices up on foreign goods. And the original theory behind tariffs is you raise the prices on foreign goods so that people then buy the American made equivalent. The problem is most of the stuff we don't have American made equivalents, and if we do, they're twice the price. Like so it's still
Yeah.
cheaper to buy the tariffed foreign item. Also, real
Yeah.
quick, I can't help but get pissed about the misinformation stuff going on. But Trump this morning had some tweet where he's like, another problem with Canada is that their banks are allowed to do business in America, and American banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada. And Elon reposted that and said true or astonishing or one of his Elon things, and it's community noted. And even Trudeau said no, there's 16 American banks that are doing business in Canada right now, holding 1.3 billion dollars. Like that's just flat out incorrect. And it's like, how does Trump not know that that's incorrect? And how does Elon? But then at the same time, it's like, oh, they know, they don't care. Like they're just
Yeah.
spouting misinformation. So
Yeah.
anyhow, so I'm very very worried about the economy. And it I was listening to it was somebody on CNN this morning, but they said the only answer to this is that Trump hates America. And at first I kind of laughed and I was like, he doesn't hate America. But then like you listen to all the points and you're like, man, if somebody did hate America and they were trying to destroy it, like this is the playbook. I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying he's following a playbook of someone who's trying to hurt America and
I think it's
Americans.
Putin. I think he's following Putin's playbook. I think Putin gives him notes, and I think he has to do, and I think that's why he's so depressed when he's sitting there letting Elon run these meetings because he doesn't want. He wants to
Scary.
be the. He's like alpha man. He wants to be the leader, but I think Putin's like let Elon take charge. Let
Leon, I
Leon
like
take
that.
charge.
Yeah. Well, and they ran a compilation. I think it was this morning I saw it. It was a compilation of all the Russian TV shows last night. And they were all laughing and celebrating. They were like, oh, Trump is doing exactly what we want him to do. And it's like, all right, Putin and Russians think that you're doing exactly what they want you to do. You are. Um, if this is somehow going to benefit us, I'm waiting to see how. But right now, it only benefits Russia and China are the two winners of everything that's happening right now.
Well, how was Russian state media in that meeting with Zelensky?
Did you see that afterward the White House came out and said that like he shouldn't have been in there as soon as they realized he was in there, they removed him? How did he get into the White House? Like that makes
Oh,
no sense.
he just walked in, just strolled on in.
So
What is going on? And then who was that other guy? Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. That guy is okay. They're
okay,
all toolbox. It's fine.
so
I'm
we haven't talked about the Zelensky Trump meeting in the Oval Office yet, so we got to cover that real quick. That was the most painful thing I've ever watched. But the thing is, everybody keeps seeing the last 10 minutes of that, and you're saying, "Oh, what happened here?" It's important that you understand everything that led up to that meeting to fully understand it. First of all, 5 or 6 days before that, we sent our commerce secretary, Besent. I don't know why he's involved in this, but we sent him over to Ukraine to have Zelensky sign this minerals agreement. Zelensky said, no, there's no security guarantees in here. I'm not signing without security guarantees. So it fell apart. 5 days later, we announced Zelensky's coming to America to sign it now. So you would assume they've worked out the kinks in the whole security guarantee thing. Apparently, and this is all Zelensky's side, but apparently Zelensky was told, no, 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 we're going to do the security guarantee. So you're good. Come on over here and sign it. He gets in that morning, and they had a meeting with senators and stuff before what we saw in the Oval Office. He gets in there, and at that point, he finds out that, oh no, there is still no security guarantees. And America, JD and Trump and whoever else are trying to convince him that, no, no, you really do have security guarantees because if we have a financial stake in what's going on over there, that's a guarantee in itself. And Zelensky's like, okay, I see what you're saying, but I would like it to say in this document that if Russia attacks us again, you have our back. Like that's all he wants. And they
yeah.
kept saying it basically does say that because, we'll have a financial interest in that means we're going to care about what's going on over there. So that was the whole lead up. Zelensky flew to America being told, don't worry, we're going to do your security guarantees. Then he gets here and finds out, no, 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 we're not. Here, sign this. So that's the lead up. He gets into the Oval Office. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who works for Right Side Broadcasting Network or whatever it is, MAGA channel, um, before they even start doing their little meeting, they let him ask a question, which people are saying this whole thing seems staged. I don't know how much of it was staged, but this first part I think was totally staged because they go to him for a question and he starts attacking Zelensky right off the bat. Why aren't you wearing a suit? Do you even own a suit? And like right there, just if you're
Yeah.
Zelensky, you're sitting there with several, JD, Trump, you got the reporter attacking you, Rubio's sitting there.
Your country's at war right now.
Yeah. My favorite
People
is
are
if,
fighting.
have you seen the pictures of Rubio? Rubio was sitting there like he did not look comfortable in that meeting at
And he's
all.
a war hawk in the
He's
fullest form. Like,
he has been pro Ukraine all the way up until a month ago, and now he's falling in line with what Trump wants. But you can tell he's not really cool with what's happening. But he's gonna do what Donald says. Um,
mm,
but then it's a Rorschach test because everybody I know that's not a Trump fan saw it and says, "Oh, JD instigated that, and him and Trump used that to attack Zelensky. Zelensky didn't do anything wrong." If you love Trump and don't like Ukraine, then you saw that and you say, "Oh, Zelensky was being disrespectful and blah blah blah." So both sides saw that totally different. The one thing I'll say, JD went on Hannity, I think it was last night, and he said, "Well, when it started to get heated, I tried to diffuse the situation." Bullshit. Like a lot of things
no,
happened in that meeting, but JD at no point tried to diffuse the
no,
situation.
no. JD antagonized the whole thing, and
He did.
if it wasn't planned, they were just hot going in there, like
What?
knowing that this was like they were going to start arguing with him. Like we're already upset. We're gonna attack him because he didn't say anything to get attacked for.
Well,
JD
so
just went on the full-on offense, and then
JD's
Trump double teamed him. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
JD's been on the podcast circuit for the last year talking crap about Zelensky. So Zelensky coming into this knows he's heard all the stuff JD has been saying about him and
Mhm.
Ukraine. So already you got to think JD is a little weird, or Zelensky is weary of JD. He's on guard, he's on the lookout. JD doesn't like him.
Yeah.
So anytime JD opens his mouth, Zelensky's probably going to get defensive. The one thing I'll say this, where Zelensky did screw up is towards the end there, he kept trying to talk over Trump. Trump was talking, and he kept trying to interrupt and talk over him.
Well,
Bad.
Trump was yelling at him, and he was trying to defend himself.
Uh,
That's how I saw it.
I hear you. He should have let Trump say what Trump wanted to say and then responded. Well, as soon as he started trying to talk over Trump, that's when Trump got louder and louder and louder. That's my only thing is Zelensky shouldn't have tried to talk over Trump in that situation. And just
Yeah.
because we know what kind of a person Trump is, Trump is, you got to respect me. So that was
Yeah, you got
Zelensky's screw up. Yep.
there's a little bit of that. I mean,
So,
you saw the UK Prime Minister come in and
yep.
give him a big old
So,
big
and
old J.
that's what UK and France, sorry, yeah, Macron from France, that's what they came in and buttered him up and kissed his ass, and that's how you get what you want out of Trump. Zelensky did not appear to come in with that mentality, but again, Zelensky showed up and immediately found out that no, you're not getting the security guarantees that we lured you all the way to Washington, telling you were going to get, and now we're not going to do it. So he was
Yeah.
pissed by the time he sat down in that meeting. So his attitude kind of makes sense to me. Since then. Trump was it last night or the night before paused all aid going to Ukraine, and he
Yep.
wants it. He wants an apology from Zelensky in order to reinstate it. And
Zelensky gave him an apology.
did I think that just happened this morning, right? I didn't see it
I think
yet, but
so, yeah.
I saw
Last
that
night or this morning.
I saw
Yeah.
something happened. But again, that goes down to like what a petty toddler we have. Where JD in there, have you said thank you one time? And Zelensky goes, yeah, I've said it a bunch. And he goes, but in
All
this meeting, have
toddlers.
you said it in this meeting? Well, let me just say this. Why should he be thanking JD and Trump? Because so far, JD and Trump haven't allocated any money there. Okay. Biden did a bunch. JD voted
Hmm.
against the aid package, and Trump has talked smack about it the whole time. So it's really petty stuff. I hope that Zelensky, as much as it sucks, I hope that he apologizes and kiss Trump's ass because they need that aid. The worst thing
Yeah.
that can happen, I'll go back to this, if we stop helping Ukraine and Putin ends up steamrolling all of Ukraine and takes Kyiv and the whole country, they're not going to stop there. I don't know how, like Putin has been very open of what his goal is. He wants to reconstitute the former Soviet Union. Almost every one of those countries, Belarus, I think
They're
just
already under his
I
thumb.
think just Belarus is the only one of those former Soviet countries that wants to be a part of Russia. The rest of them all want to be a part of the other side of Europe, of Western
Yeah.
Europe. Um, if he takes Ukraine, the next move would be Moldova. Moldova is a real small country, and he'll roll right into there. There's a small part of the eastern side of Moldova called like Transistia or something like that, that
Hmm.
he's already got revolution type stuff going on there. They've got some Russian plants in there. He'll take Moldova and then Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia are the three Baltic
Yeah.
states that he'll go for next.
And after, if he gets that, then that gives him a ample opportunity to invade Europe.
Yeah,
Like, because it kind of, I forget what they call it, but it's like some kind of,
it's the plains. It's some kind of
yeah.
it's a flat land that you can march an army across. Here's the thing.
Hmm.
I'll stop short of where you are, and I'll say I don't think he really wants to invade. Europe. Europe. He wants to get the Soviet bloc back, and the Soviet bloc
Sure.
is Poland, and all these countries that don't want to be a part of Russia. Now, if he does take Moldova, I think he could take that without much resistance. When he gets to the next three that he wants, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, those are all NATO countries. So if he tries to attack them, NATO has to respond, and now we have a full European war going on.
Hmm.
That's why, in my mind, it's very important to stop him at Ukraine so it doesn't get past there.
Yeah.
Trump seems to
Well, I mean,
be,
you saw every leader from the European Union came out and was like, we are with Zelensky and Ukraine, and like basically said a big to Trump. And
the European Union came out right after that and said, "Hey, it's clear that America does not want to be the leader of the free world at this point. We just need to accept that. It's our turn to step up." And I admire them for trying to step up. They're not capable. They don't have the weight behind them that America does. But they got to try at this point. America doesn't want to do it. They got to try. Um, it's it's not going well. But back to the economy real quick. Did you see the stock market has dropped for 2 straight days? I think I saw the Dow has dropped a total of 1,700 points in the last 2 days.
It's
Um,
big,
that's
big time.
big. Also, the town halls where some people were showing up and yelling at the Republican representatives. The people claim they were Republicans. Trump is saying that no, 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 those are paid Democrats. Either way, the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee, I think is what it's called. They announced this morning there are no more town halls. They instructed all their members stop doing town halls. It's pointless.
Yeah.
So in response to that, and I think the Democrats haven't been doing much good recently, but they basically stepped right up and said, okay, we're going to go into your districts and have town halls. Like we will send Democrats in there to
Oh,
let the people be heard.
nice.
Good. That needs to happen.
Yes.
So
That is the way to do it. I like that. Okay.
they haven't done it yet. They said they're going to do it, but that's the first thing they've done in the last 4 weeks where I'm like, okay, good plan, guys. Like other than that, I'm not loving anything I'm hearing out of Democrats. Even tonight Trump is giving his it's not the State of the Union because it's his first year, but it's called like the
Hmm.
joint address to Congress. And there's always a thing of what is the opposition party going to do? Are they going to show up? Are they going to sit there the whole time and not clap and this and that? And they've been debating that for the last couple of days of how the Democrats are going to respond. And whatever they're going to do, I think is not going to work. I have no faith in them to put up any kind of
What
resistance.
they did to Biden was yell at him. Like,
Yeah,
look,
Republicans got loud. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert back there yelling. Um,
yep.
Jim Clyburn, who's an old black guy from South Carolina that's real influential, he was on one of the channels this morning saying, I think we should have a sit-in. Back in my time, we did sit-ins all the time. And a sit-in, that was a good thing that worked during the civil rights era and all that. He's not meeting the moment of today. Like that ain't gonna work. Go ahead, do your sit-in, but that's not what we need right now. I think we got a lot of old people running the Dems, and they're remembering tactics that worked in the '60s and thinking that'll work today. No, it's not going to work today. Um,
Well, something. We have to make a stand somehow, even if it's small stands here and there. Like everybody has to get involved.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I
So
think it.
the other thing, real quick, I read an article about this, and I'd never heard this term, and I don't know if it's used a lot or if it's just in the article I read. So maybe I just read one guy saying it. But have you heard of it's called a brain drain on a country? Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard of brain drain,
So
but it's
apparently,
kind of like a rope-a-dope, but
so
with the brain.
how it applies to countries, as far as this, I read one article, so this might be one guy. But when a country collapses, like when a government collapses, the country normally goes through what's called a brain drain, where top scientists and people like that in that country, they've been working on work, and to them, the work is what matters. They're close to a breakthrough in this or that. And now
Hmm.
all their funding is lost, the government collapsed, and other countries swoop in and lure them over. Hey, come to China, we have funding. You can continue your research here. And that's very common, apparently, when a country collapses. All the smartest, brightest minds of that country leave and go somewhere else.
That's how we got like our rocket to the moon
Well, that
and
was
how
that was
we took
the
Germany's scientists.
that wasn't, I guess that was a collapse, but that was us defeating the Nazis in World War II.
Yeah,
But
totally.
anyhow, and then that country, when it starts to pull its crap back together, like they don't have those scientists, so they're at a disadvantage at that point. Now, those
Hmm.
scientists don't go there for money reasons. Oh, I can get rich if I go to China. No, they're really passionate about whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a breakthrough. They're saying that with all the USAID that's being cut and all that, that America is poised to suffer a big brain drain. We're firing top scientists all across the board.
Hmm.
USAID or US, what is it? USDA, the food scientists, all that, the people working on vaccines. So we are at risk of losing a lot of our top minds, and they don't just come back. Like if we get a Democrat in 2028, they're not going to now leave whatever country they went to and come back. They're going to be gone. This will hurt us for a long time. So be on the lookout for that. It's just I was an interesting article. I'll have to send it to you.
Okay.
The only lighthearted funny thing, I hate to even say lighthearted. In fact, I'd like to
Hold
retry.
on. Let me guess. Trump can't read.
I saw that. Um, he can read because he reads the teleprompter, and you can always tell because he gives a good speech when he sticks to the teleprompter versus when he freestyles it. So
Yeah.
he can read. Um, But maybe it's something where he needs to pre-read things. Maybe they know not to put big words in so that he can get through it right. The thing you're talking about is where when the European Prime Minister came from England, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, I've got a letter for the president. Here you go." And Trump's like, "Should I read it now?" And he's like, "Yeah, read it." And Trump reads it to himself. He goes, "Oh, wow, wow, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Should
What
we
a great
tell the
guy. Yeah.
should we tell the people what it says? Here, you read it." And he makes the other guy read it. That he can read that.
Obviously didn't read it.
Yeah, I maybe there might have been big words in there. I don't really know. Um, Real quick, back to
I think they set him up on that one. Like, let's fuck with him a little bit and make him look like a fucking idiot.
yeah,
Because yeah, because how many people give you like how many people are giving him letters in a meeting, like a televised meeting, really?
yeah.
So,
Maybe on, and I heard somebody say this that when he's reading the teleprompter, they do bullet points basically. Like it'll be like 3 words, and then he knows
oh
what
yeah,
he wants to say about that. So they keep small words, and then he can riff on it. Um,
yeah.
I think he can read. I just think that yeah, that was a funny moment. If you're one of the people that likes to say he can't read, that moment was perfect for you because it's like, see, I told you he can't read. Um, Real quick, going back to the Epstein files. The last time we talked, the Epstein files had just been released. They were a dud. There was 200 documents, most of which were already online. Nothing new. That night, Pam Bondi wrote a letter to the head of the FBI, Kash Patel, and said, I demand that all these other documents be on my desk tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And that was Friday morning of last week at 8 o'clock. We have not heard shit about that since then. So there's some kind of a cover up of the Epstein files going on, and everybody kept saying that, oh, the government's covering it up. Trump's going to get in and he'll release them. And even when they asked Trump, Fox interview, they asked him, they said, hey, will you release the JFK files? Yes. Will you release the alien stuff? Yes. And then they got to Epstein, and he goes, well, on that one, I'm a little bit less inclined. There's a lot of innocent people in there, and we know Trump's name's in there several times.
Sure.
Um, the whole theory that Epstein was Israeli intelligence getting blackmail and compromise on American people, I've always said that seems likely, but I don't know if I'll say I believe it or not. At this point, you got to believe that he was either an Israeli spy or an American spy doing that because he's got dirt on both sides. Is all I know. Because
Mm.
the left doesn't want to declassify it, and the right keeps saying they want to declassify it, yet they haven't, and they had every opportunity to so far. Um, I'm gonna guess that whatever he had on everybody, he did a good job of getting the left and the right. He got everybody.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
only theory on that. But it's funny that 8 a.m. Friday came, nothing happened. Pam Bondi hasn't said anything, and then MAGA seems to have just dropped it. Like I haven't. We went through the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, crickets. Like nobody's even talking about the Epstein stuff anymore. I guess they're just fine with that not being
Well,
released now.
now the conspiracy theory is that Zelensky is a child pedophile and this is Trump standing up to
You
him.
talking about that
I
thing
was
I
just
sent you?
watching something about this and I was just my brain was like throbbing.
Did you see the thing I sent you about the girl we went to high school with?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
This
God.
is the adrenochrome.
Yeah, they said that they'll turn on. It said something like they'll turn back on the aid to Ukraine if he will release the list of all the celebrities that are raping kids and doing a adrenochrome or whatever. I can't remember what all they.
I'm gonna send her this episode
Oh God, I've
on Facebook.
there's a couple people we went to high school with that have some wacky conspiracy sides, and she's like number one on the list. Right? I still see because I always stop and read her shit. It shows me her stuff all the time, and yeah, it's anyhow. Um, so let me think where we're at here. Okay, I got the one good news I have is Trump is making the left wing all across the globe stronger right now. The left wing in Canada was supposed to get shellacked this election. Like that, people
Yeah,
don't like
yeah.
Trudeau. Trudeau was stepping down to let one of his like lieutenants run for Prime Minister of Canada, and it looked like they were going to lose bad. There's a right wing type Trump figure in Canada that was looking like he was going to win. Well, because of the way Trump is acting, now Canada has completely turned on their right wing. They do not want that. So now it looks like Trudeau's party is going to win the election pretty easily, all of a sudden, it looks like, and hold power. In Germany, the AfD, which, people are saying they're the Nazi party, they definitely got some Nazi leanings, but I wouldn't say they're the Nazi party. They got defeated. They still got like 20% of the vote, which was big for them. They've never gotten 20 before.
Huh.
All these other elections in Europe, basically the left wing is surging everywhere but America because all these other countries are looking at what we're doing and they're saying, "No, we don't want to like that in our country." So it's not good for him, but that's what's happening across the world. So we got that going for us. Um, and
Did you
then
see John Stewart and Elon Musk? Elon Musk said he wanted to go on John Stewart as long as they didn't cut up the interview.
so not going to happen. I'm just going to say right now, not going to happen. And I think Elon I think Elon started getting no. I think people like Rogan or other people started calling him immediately, going, "Don't do it." Like John
Yeah,
is good at what he
you're gonna
does.
get owned.
Elon came out and said he'll happily do it as long as it's not edited. And then The Daily Show tweeted back and said, "We'd be delighted. Like, we're not going to edit it." And then he shot back a little bit later and said, "Oh, and it has to air unedited on X, Twitter." And
Okay.
that's a whole copyright thing where Comedy Central is not going to let it air on X. So he put that
Yeah.
out there. He put that out there as a way to go, up, I would have, but they said no, that we can't air on X. So he did that smartly. And then he also tweeted that Jon Stewart cannot be trusted because he's too biased. I don't know if you watched The Daily Show last night, but Jon Stewart
Yeah.
replied to that, and it was quite perfect. I encourage
It
everybody
was
to watch
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
So, um, and then let me see here,
But Jon Stewart has a podcast too. So
the Weekly
that
Show.
would be amazing if he got on a podcast. And then it could
Yeah.
be aired on X probably.
Either way, Jon Stewart should just come on X and just do an interview with him that's not on the Daily Show. Either way, that'd be
Fantastic.
fantastic. So,
Yep. Yeah, if
yeah,
it goes on just X, then he'll definitely edit it or take it off or not promote it. Because he's
yeah.
gonna look like an idiot if he goes against Jon Stewart.
Well, just watching Elon on Rogan the other day, like Elon was trying to make the case for why Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. And luckily he had Rogan who was just sitting there going, "Oh, interesting. Really?" Like if he has any pushback to most of what he's saying, it's gonna be quickly proven that he's not being honest about most of what he's saying.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I would love to see Elon and Jon Stewart do a 3 hour interview. I don't think Elon will let that happen. I think he's smart enough to know not to do that.
I would rather see Elon or Jon Stewart and Rogan be on a
Jon
podcast
Stewart
together.
went on like 2 or 3 years ago, but it was Trump was gone and they kind of didn't really talk a lot of politics. And I want to see Jon Stewart now on there, which apparently Rogan, because Rogan keeps doing this whole like, I'm not right wing. Like I would have anybody on. Well, David Pakman has said recently that he was in Austin and tried to reach out to Joe before he went to do the show, and Joe never called him back.
Mhm.
Kyle Kalinske a while back was saying that he was trying to get on.
Oh,
Crystal
Kyle's been calling him out hardcore.
Yeah, Crystal and Sagar apparently reached out to him a couple times. This was like a couple months ago and tried to get on. And so he just doesn't want to have anybody on because what I would say, and people will disagree with this, is that he knows that if he gets any pushback on what they've been spouting, it'll fall apart. So he just can't let there be anybody on to give good pushback on the other side. So
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
yeah.
He's
So, but I'll say this: the there's starting to be, and people jump to conclusions on this stuff, and they say, "Oh, MAGA's turning on Trump." MAGA's not turning on Trump. There are a couple cracks that are being exposed right now. Just a few cracks in the foundation. Um, we talked the last couple times we've talked. It's been about oh, I'm seeing videos on Twitter of farmers saying I voted for Trump, but I'm going to lose my farm and blah blah blah. And I always tell you, it's like I don't know that I trust that. Like that could be a Democrat that's dressing up like a farmer, and I don't know who these
there's a
people
lot.
are.
There's a
No,
ton of it.
there is a ton of it, but it could be a well coordinated campaign. I don't ever trust that little stuff. Okay. Now Laura Ingraham on her show, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, she had on I think it was the new press secretary. I can't remember her name, but she was challenging her on certain stuff like Trump saying he wants China to invest more in America. And Laura Ingraham took that to mean like, oh, buying up all of our houses and farmland and all the shit they've been doing for the last couple of years, like that's bad. And so she kind of pushed back on a lot of stuff Trump's been saying. But she even said during that interview, she said, hey, there are whispers on the right now that what's going on is not what we wanted, not what we voted for. And if Laura Ingram's bringing that up, then I would say there truly are people, they're not going to say it publicly, but they are talking amongst themselves going, hey, what the heck? Like this isn't what we wanted. We want it. Trump's Trump disagrees with this, but the main reason that I know of that a lot of people voted for Trump was to bring down inflation, the price of eggs. How many times did we hear about the price of eggs in the lead up to the election? Daily,
Tons.
all the time.
Yeah. Every day.
He hasn't done one thing to address inflation or the price of eggs. In fact, he's done stuff to make it worse with the tariffs. So
Oh, and like hiding the fact that bird flu is running rampant.
that's scary. And it's funny because for the last 6 months of the Biden presidency, people were talking about the price of eggs, and then you'd say, "Oh, well, bird flu," and they'd say, "Oh no, it's Biden's fault." And now that Trump's in, you bring up the price of eggs, and they go, "Oh well, bird flu." And MAGAs are all like, "Oh yeah, bird flu," and it's like, bird flu was the same reason Biden was given, and you didn't like that then. Why is that okay now? But okay, whatever. Um,
People,
but
man.
you're seeing it like Theo Vaughn right after the Zelensky meeting. Theo Vaughn tweeted something where he was like, get that little man out of the Oval Office and tell him to stop taking our money, and just a real anti-Zelensky tweet. And then people started jumping all over Theo Von online, and Theo Von ended up deleting that tweet. I don't know if he's commented on it since, but people were basically like, "Hey, you realize you're just spouting Russian talking points at this point?" And Theo Von,
Jesus.
anyhow, and then
I mean, is Russia just paying them? Is this kind of like the same thing that like Ben Shapiro or who are those guys that were getting paid?
Benny Johnson and Tim Pool and
Well,
who else? Yeah, which
Dave Rubin.
Dave Rubin. Sam Cedar went on that Piers Morgan show the other night and ripped into Benny Johnson. That was kind of funny.
Oh,
Um,
good.
then we got Bill Burr, who's still on a tear. Bill Burr.
Let's go, Bill.
So for whatever reason, Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire decided to start a fight with Bill Burr the other day and gave some interview. I don't know if it's to the New York Times or something, where he was basically saying that, oh, Bill Burr has gone woke and this and that, and what a shame it is. So Bill Burr responded back to the New York Times and called Shapiro a jackoff, and he said, oh, he just knew that if he put woke in front of it, like he'd make more money, this and that. And he just went on the attack against Shapiro. I love it. Go Bill Burr. Quickly becoming one of my favorite people out there, him and Jon Stewart.
Hero of the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm,
I think Jon Stewart and Bill Burr 2028.
so the thing is, I think that there is a very small chance that Jon Stewart would even entertain running for office. I mean, why would you? I would recommend he not, but it'd be awesome if he did.
It would be great.
But small chance that he would even think about it. If you're Bill Burr, no way in hell. No way. And just start off with he's got some hysterical bits from the past that were great, but it could be brought back up right now on him. And like the whole like there's no reason to hit a woman. There's plenty of reasons to hit a woman. You just don't do it. But like little stuff like that, if he tries to run from office, they can bring all
Yeah.
that back and you just don't
I
do it,
mean,
Bill.
yeah, but Trump's already in office, so like
Yeah, but Trump,
he's got
surprisingly,
way worse.
he's
You can
never,
grab him by the pussy, man.
besides that comment, there's no history of him talking about hitting women, where I think there's a pretty good history of Bill Burr talking about that. Um, the last thing I'll close on here today, it's weird to do one during the daytime.
I
Last
know,
thing
right?
here, I watch a lot of history stuff all the time. Like that's what I fall asleep to is World War II documentaries, Hitler documentaries. Like I love that stuff.
Ugh, that
I've
sounds
seen
horrible.
that's what
Some
right now
nightmare, dude.
I'm watching one on Netflix right now about Hitler. It's fantastic. And last night I was watching it, and it kind of made me start thinking. Okay, when you think about an authoritarian rule, authoritarian dictatorship, whatever you want to call it, like we always assume that like a strong man like took power aggressively, like they did it against the country's will. They seized power.
No.
In in reality, that's almost never how it happens. Most of the time, the people are ready and willing. Like they voted in, they cheer it on as it's happening,
Yeah.
and then later they go, "Oh shit, what did we do?" And that's how it happened with Hitler, Mussolini. Look back throughout history, and almost every time the people cheer on somebody taking away their rights. We're not there yet. I want to be clear. I'm not saying we're there yet, but there's
Oh, we're
little.
not?
We're not.
I will beg to differ with you, my friend.
I'm
I think we're on that track. We
what?
are we're
So
on that train heading straight towards dictatorship, authoritarianism, whatever you want to call it.
so that's
We're in the tunnel, man.
so. I think we agree here, though. I said we're not there yet, but we're definitely pointed in that direction. And what's going to happen in the next year or so is going to be very telling. But right now,
Dude,
Trump,
we're
I think I
pulling
said
up to the stop right now. We are pulling right up to that train station.
like I said, I would take it one step back and say we're pointed in that
Hold
direction.
on, hold on. Did you see what he signed today? His
Was it the thing about no
authoritarian.
protesting on college campuses?
No, it was the other
Yeah.
one where he signed that the president has complete control over the EPA, all these like what are they called? Where they're not in charge of the government, like the EPA, the Food and Drug Administration, the
So
FTA. Like he signed a declaration today saying that the president has complete control over all of that.
okay, well,
It's going to get fought in court, I think. I
so
hope.
that's one of those where Congress could easily step up and say like, no, that's not how it goes. But they're not gonna because they're willing participants in all this.
The
So
Congress, yeah. Yes.
yeah. But no, that was almost expected. That doesn't alarm me. Um, oh, you
I
froze up
froze.
on me.
It looks like I froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're froze.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep talking. I think I moved the camera.
There you go. You're back.
Yeah, there's the
Um,
camera. Huh.
So he signed something this morning that was basically no protesting on college campuses. You will get arrested or removed from the country if you're not a citizen here if you try to protest on a college campus. Now, first of all, I don't understand how that's enforceable for the federal government to enforce that at all, but it's more of just a statement. But right there, the First Amendment, which Trump and RFK were both really big on the First Amendment. That's why they're running to
And
protect the First
and
Amendment.
our president Elon Musk is like completely.
Exactly. First Amendment. Okay. So the ability to protest is directly what the First Amendment's all about. Okay. And college campuses have been the place of protest since the 60s. That's what happens. It's kind of part of America. And I get that certain people don't like it. And especially, I think what tipped the scale was all the pro Palestinian protests. Like, if it wasn't for all that, I don't think they'd have as much problem with it. But saying that you're not allowed to protest on a college campus anymore, that's scary to me when you look at the First Amendment and kind of pointing towards authoritarianism.
Yeah.
On top of that, the whole thing where they're controlling what media is allowed in the Oval Office or in the pool or whatever. Like, and so far the ones that have been removed, like there was one guy, his name's like SV Date, and I think he might be with Rolling Stone. But like the second week that Trump was in office, he asked the president some tough questions, and he kind of held his feet to the fire. And they were the first ones to get removed by the White House. Sorry, you can't be in here anymore, just because you had the nerve to ask the president tough
Yeah.
questions. Um, what I'm waiting to see, because David Pakman had a whole thing about this the other day. Um, but do they start to come after left-leaning independent media? And it won't be through force. Like, it won't be like they try to arrest him. It'll be that they try to get him demonetized, or they lawsuits start coming, not from the federal government, but from right-wing people. Because a lot of these people, like, if they get a lawsuit, they either have to take down their content. Because a lot of times you can resolve this by saying, "Hey, I'm just going to take it down," and then it goes away. Or you can choose to fight it in court. If you fight it in court, you're looking at 100 to 150 grand. A lot of these podcasters don't have that kind of money to fight this stuff in
Yeah.
court. So, do they
Well,
start to?
David Pakman got a letter from a guy from the from a guy that works for the federal government saying that his website was is there he's unable to access his website from the government computers, but he can go to like any of the right-wing people's or channels.
Yeah, well, that's
So
I'm not shocked by that. Um,
yeah,
but and limiting their access from a government computer, I kind of it's like, I don't care as much now. If they start to try to get stuff that's critical of them taken down, or I think that they're already trying to do it, but they're using soft power to do it, like with the media. Like, if you say bad stuff about us, you're not going to be allowed in the Oval Office or the pool or
yeah.
whatever it is. I think that they're they're not going to jump straight to banning, like trying to get whole like CNN or MSNBC like removed from the airways. They're not going to do that. They're going to try to make them bend to the will of president and say good things about him. If that doesn't
Who
work, that's
who
good.
controls the airwaves? What's that? Um,
The FDC,
that's another one that was in that list that he signed today.
which has, he thinks the FDC should be going after, was it CBS, whoever he says interviewed Kamala and edited it deceptively. Uh,
What? Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my big thing right now is I kind of everybody that was like, "Oh, Trump's going to be a dictator if he comes back in." It's like, he's going to do a lot of shit you don't like, but he's not going to be a dictator. But there's little warning signs right now of like, oh man, like they're definitely trying to make it to where the media has to be on their side, to not say bad things or to challenge him. They're trying that now through soft power. There is a fine line there because all administrations try to get the press to write good things about them. That's kind of that's the goal of every administration. Now, where you can cross a line is where you start kicking out the journalists that refuse to write good things about you, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Um,
Yeah. Well, so this is just one piece of the puzzle, right? And if it was just that he's going after the media and trying to control the media and what's being said, that's just one piece of the dictatorship puzzle. He's
mhm.
going after the court system. He's going after our democracy, our checks and balances. He's trying to take power from basically the courts, our Congress. I mean, those are the three branches, right?
Yeah, which
And
he's got the Supreme Court. Oh, sorry, I'm going to back all the way up to RFK and Maha. This morning, I believe it was, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 along party lines, basically undoing the Clean Water Act, which has to do with companies putting sewage and pollution back into our water streams.
what
And
the fuck? I'm
they
going to
undid
cuss so much about that. That is Bullshit.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
they undid that this morning. So
Oh, so
Maha,
yeah, Maha,
Maha.
it's not even Maha. That's just
Yeah.
dirty for all of us. We're all gonna
Well,
get,
RFK was the environmental lawyer. Like this is supposed to be anyhow. Yeah.
okay, so businesses can just dump sewage into the water. No Clean Water Act anymore.
Yep.
Great.
I guess
Why? Why? That's what I want to know. Why?
because it costs a lot for companies to dispose of it the right way. It's an what hear me out. This is what Republicans would say. It's an unnecessary regulatory burden on these companies that's costing them profits. And if they didn't have to jump through all these hoops, they'd have more money to use to hire workers. They could grow and hire more workers, which would be good for the economy. That's what they say. In reality, that money never becomes more workers. That becomes payouts to the stockholders or whatever, which
Yeah.
there's a whole lot here, like the Department of Education, for example. Let me use that. They say, oh, we're going to get rid of the Department of Education. Your money shouldn't be going to the federal government. Your money should be going to the state, blah, blah, blah. Now, if they truly were to get rid of the Department of Education and then lower our tax burden on federal taxes, like get rid of whatever amount went to the Department of Education, take that away, and now the states make that money go to the state, then okay, the same amount of money is still going to the schools. It's just not going through Washington. I get it.
Yeah.
But in reality, what they'll do is they'll get rid of the Department of Education, but our taxes will not change at all. That money is
No.
just going to now go towards tax cuts for billionaires. Like that's how
Yeah.
it goes.
That's exactly
Um,
how it's working.
yeah. So
All right,
that's
I'm
where,
frustrated, man. This is
yeah.
frustrating. Let's get off this.
The good news is, Docs, if you make over $360,000, you're about to get a tax cut.
No,
So yeah,
I better start making some more money.
I was gonna say.
How am I gonna make this money when the economy's in the shitter?
Oh, tell me about it. Again, I work in the housing industry, and our phones have been dead, man, over the past couple of weeks. But then today, whoop, silence, and I'm just like, oh man, like how much longer am I going to have a job? I'm not. I'm trying to laugh about it, but it's like if we go into recession, the housing market has been. It's over. What do they call it? Over valued. There's a name for it where the price of a house right now is ridiculous. It's beyond what it should be. So it's in need of a correction. If we hit a
Sure.
recession, that correction is going to happen. And we were both not really in the home owning side of things back in 2008. But when that collapse happened and the housing market collapsed, brutal for people, just
Oh
brutal.
yeah.
And we're flirting with that right now. And this trade war is only going to help us go in that direction. I got a buddy he bought a new house and he's remodeling it. And when he's done, he's going to sell the old house. And I'm trying to be like he's kind of MAGA, so I'm trying not to get into a political thing with him, but it's like, hey, you need to hurry up and do that because if you think you're going to sell your house, like the clock is ticking before everything collapses and your house ain't gonna be worth shit. Um,
I mean, it's pretty much ticked. The clock has already ticked.
so
Almost.
weird.
I mean, who's
The
gonna buy a house right now?
the thing is, if somehow the trade wars came to an end at the end of this week, if we settled all our differences with Canada and Mexico, and the tariffs went away, I think the economy would bounce back a little bit. They'd get back to some stability, and we'd still be in a little bit of danger, but we'd kind of head it off for now. The problem is both Mexico and Canada are talking tough against Trump, which I kind of respect. Like they're not rolling
I
over.
respect it big time.
They're talking back, and Canada put retaliatory tariffs on the United States. This isn't going to end in about a week. This is going to go on for a while, and I don't see how it eventually ends. Especially real quick, Trudeau apparently I don't know if it was Trudeau himself or if it was like people from his administration, but they came to Washington this week to meet about the upcoming tariffs, and they said, okay, what is it that you want us to do? And apparently the Trump government was like, nothing, you can't do anything. We're doing the tariffs. There's nothing. So normally tariffs, like there's a thing you want. Hey, if you do this, you can avoid the tariffs. No, he just wants to do the tariffs, and the only
And
reason
even that is a dickhead move. Even that's a dickhead move.
the only reason it makes sense to me, and maybe there's a different reason he's doing it, but the only reason I can see is they're I'm sorry, I'm going to be long-winded about this, but they passed their budget framework last week, and they have till the 14th of this month, which is 10 days away to actually put together a budget. They pretty much have abandoned that. Even Trump the other night said they're probably going to do a CR, continuing resolution. So they're going to continue the Pelosi level spending all the way through September to give them time to figure out a budget. The reason he's doing that is because it became clear real quick that with all the cuts to Medicaid and all that, they can't do that. They're not going to have enough
Yeah.
Republicans to pass it. Okay.
They're trying to cut Medicaid by like $850 billion.
880 billion. Yeah.
880,
So,
okay.
but here's the thing is he needs to find a way to show that the tax cuts for the rich are not going to add to the national debt. And that's the whole reason for Doge was they thought Doge could find enough stuff to trim to even out to where the tax cuts aren't putting us further into debt. So far, that's been a massive failure. I'm all for finding any bit of money that saves Americans money and it stops waste, but it looks like they found, I don't know, like $3 billion, which is a lot of money. I'm not hating on it, but it's not enough to offset the tax cuts. That I think that Trump
Wait,
thinks.
is that 3 billion? Is that part of the like aid that we're sending out?
Oh yeah, that's money that was going to different countries for
So it's
stuff
not
that
really waste or abuse.
it's
It's stuff that we
Republicans
probably should be doing.
Republicans think it's wasteful spending, and I think there is an argument. Like there's some of the things that I've heard where it's like, hold on, wait, we're spending like $30 million to Vietnam to educate them about not burning their trash because it's bad for the ozone layer. And it's like,
Great.
okay, hold on, hear me out. It's like, okay, I think we should be definitely trying to convince Vietnam to stop burning their trash, but $30 million, that's a lot of money. Like, where is that? I'd like to see a breakdown of how that 30 million is being spent. Maybe there's a cheaper way to do that. That's all I'm saying. So there are some things where I think totally you look at it and you're like, hold on, wait, this much money for that the government's.
When you're a leader, when you're the leader of the free world, you have to have some expenses to help other countries get out
I understand.
the
Even if we were
information that needs to happen. Like this is frustrating, man.
well, but if I saw a breakdown and they said, hey, here's where the 30 million is going, we're helping them build recycling centers and this and that, and it look okay, all 30 million looks like it's being used right, cool.
Boom.
Then but I want to see where I think that there probably is a very good chance that some of this is not our money is not being used in the most frugal way possible. I
Have
think you
you
could
looked
say.
that one up? That's the one you're frustrated with. Why don't you look that one up and see
I'll
where it's on?
I'll see what I
I
can find.
think okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's all listed.
And that's where
Like
I wish
break
that
down everything.
Elon would be a lot more transparent with. I just
He's
found
not.
blah 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 amount of money going to this. Okay, well, what's it going for? Break it down. What are we doing here? And they're always able to spin it in a way where look how ridiculous it is. We're sending this many billions of dollars for this stupid thing. But then when you look into it, it's like oh, like it's beyond this stupid thing you're talking about. It's actually for all this other stuff. But I don't know
Yeah.
enough about it. I'm just saying I'm all for if they can find ways to spend less money overseas doing shit. I'm all for that. I have no problem with that at all. Like let's save some tax dollars. Let's use that money though to pay down our debt, not to give a tax break to the billionaires. Either way,
Yeah. Yeah. Or
uh,
to expand on Medicaid and
that
education.
that would be fantastic.
Let's
Uh,
expand on Medicaid and education, but that's not what they want to do. They want to take that away and they want to give tax cuts to the billionaires.
yeah, that's
And let's
that's
make
the
our
whole
world
goal.
a little cleaner and a little nicer. We
If
only
if
have one planet.
if you just go by their actions, like if you say, okay, what's Trump's number one priority right now since he got into office? What's his number?
Destroying the world.
No,
Destroying the world.
but here's the thing: that's a byproduct of what his number one priority is. His number
Make
one
money for the
priority
rich.
is to give tax breaks to the rich, and in order to do that, he's got to find money to even that out, and that's why Doge is going on. That's why we're eliminating USAID.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why we're doing the trade. Every other screwed up thing we're doing is all really about finding a way to offset the tax cuts. So if he wasn't trying to do the tax cuts, all this other stuff wouldn't be happening. But that's where we're at. Is he really wants to do that? What we both need to read up on real quick because I know so little about crypto. I have resisted paying attention to crypto for a long time now.
Yeah.
This thing yesterday where Trump announced we're going to have a sovereign wealth fund for America, and it's going to be 100 billion in crypto. Everybody that I trust in the media, and Ryan Grimm, the guy from Breaking Points, he's been all over this on Twitter. It's been fascinating to read. But he swears this is just a bailout of the crypto bros, whatever you want to call it, Trump's friends.
Mhm.
This is him stealing our money, our tax dollars, to bail out his billionaire friends with crypto. I don't know enough about it to go into it right now, but it seems like that is a scandal we should all be paying attention to. So me and you both need to read up on that before the next one because that apparently is a big deal.
Yeah. So the US government is going to put a bunch of money, is going to pump crypto, right?
Yep.
Pump it up to let's just say 200, let's just say it doubles,
Okay.
which means everybody who has crypto right now doubles their money. And then if they all do it in succession, they can pull it all out, double their money, and then just leave everybody else and the US government stranded with
So that's
like
the thing is Trump's
crypto
going to
being
try
in
to do
first.
is Trump going to try to do pump and dumps with the U.S. government to where the U.S. government comes out ahead, or is he going to have the government be the loser in this, but all his billionaires are the ones that come out ahead? That's what I'm curious about.
Does he really care about the United States?
It's so hard to make the case that he does right now, just based off the tariffs
Yeah,
and all
I
that.
don't see it.
Yeah,
He gives two shits about the United States. Yeah.
it's frustrating.
Very
I
frustrating.
the what is his name? John or was Tillis or Thune, one of the senators was on CNN this morning, and they were trying to hold their feet to the fire about the tariffs, and you could tell how uncomfortable he was with all of it. He was just like, he's like, well, the president is really trying to do what's right for America, and you could tell he didn't believe everything he was saying. And it's like at some point, the Senate has got to stand up. The House isn't going to do it. Screw the House until hopefully the Democrats take over in the midterms, but for now, the House ain't there for us. The Senate, I told you before the election, I thought the Senate was going to not allow some of this shit to go on, and so far they're just letting it happen. So we need four Republican senators. That's all it takes is four Republican senators to say, nope, we're not down with this. And then they could put a stop to a lot of this.
Four.
Yeah.
Do
Which,
we
like I
have
said,
four?
I think there's three that are willing. I think the two ladies, Murkowski and Collins, are willing. Mitch McConnell seems to be willing, but I don't see a fourth at all. So that's where we're at.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, this is.
Well, pay attention tonight. Tonight's the not State of the Union, the joint address. We'll see.
We're gonna record after that. We're gonna record
Yeah,
again after
I
that.
think we should try. Apparently, one of the major themes tonight. Trump's going back to the well. One of the tried and true that people love. Immigrant crime. That's going to be apparently Melania's guest. It's always a big deal of who the first lady's bringing. It's victims of immigrant crime, women whose husbands were killed or women whose kids were killed by immigrants. So
I'm sure
tonight,
she's thrilled with that.
yeah, well, tonight's going to be all about the immigrants and they're to blame. And again, you talk about that documentary I'm watching on Hitler right now. Like you look back and throughout the 1930s, it was all about giving Germans someone to blame for their hardships, and it was the Jews. Um,
Uh,
but that's kind of where we're at right now. Is hey, yeah, life sucks. You know why? The immigrants. And it's like, well, actually, it could be the billionaires. No. It's not the billionaires. The immigrants. And that's what most of Bill Burr's message is. No. It's the billionaires. And unfortunately, right now, a big part of MAGA, people that make as much as me or less, really believes that no. The billionaires are trying to help us. And if you believe that, you're the kind of guy that thinks the Hooters waitress is really into you. Like, ooh, she likes me, I swear. No, she wants a fucking tip. Like, though, that's the same kind of person who thinks that the billionaires are really here to help us. That's all I can say.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Interesting.
the good news
Hmm.
is, if I'm not mistaken, you pulled your money out of the stock market a couple weeks ago, right?
I did. I
Keep it
did.
out. Keep it out. Sooner or
Yeah.
later, whenever things hit rock bottom and start to come back up, pump all your money back in. But for now,
That's it. That's the plan.
don't touch that. I think the stock market is a terrible investment for the next foreseeable
Let's
future.
start investing in the euro.
Yeah, God. And the thing is, though, here's what we got to remember: when the U.S. stock market collapses, because we have such a major force on the world economy, everybody else's economy collapses too. So if our stock market starts to go down, even China, like all of them, they have a dip too. So ours affects everybody. So
It's usually what happens, but since we're putting all these like everybody's kind of creating a plan to just abandon the United States in all their trading and everything. So
yeah,
I think they've already got plans like somewhat in place, and I don't think it's gonna. I think we might be the only ones that go through this recession. We're gonna go through this recession alone.
no, I
You think
wish that
so?
was the case, but it's other
Uh,
economies are too dependent on our economy, so it's
yeah.
just that's not the
Okay.
way it's going to work. Now they could make it to where they don't feel the pain as much as us,
Yeah.
but they're still going to feel pain. So,
Okay.
and that's
Yeah. Everybody.
that's where we're at a disadvantage here. Is like Trudeau this morning he was straight up with his people. He was like, "Hey, Canadians, this is going to hurt. This isn't going to be fun, and it's going to hurt, but the government's going to be here for you." And Canadians seem to be all together, and they're like, "Yeah, we will go through some economic hardship to stand up to Trump." They're on board. They have their citizens on the government side. That's not going to happen in America. If our prices start to go up and people are going to be bitching relentlessly, so that we're at a disadvantage there on the trade war. Trump doesn't have the backing of a large majority of Americans like these other countries are going to have against us. So that's it.
Hmm.
I don't see any way we win this trade battle. What I see is just like with every other Trump thing, is at some point we're going to get some minor concession, and he's going to say, "Oh, we've won. I'm going to call off the trade war, and it's going to be a tiny little thing that doesn't really matter, but he's going to sell it to his people as a win.
Well, this has crossed my mind too, is that like the bailouts with the crypto thing,
Mhm.
he's tanking the stock market because, billionaires and millionaires, people who have a lot of money, they look at a down economy. That's when they make their money, right?
Yeah,
That's when
that
they go in and they gobble up all the small businesses and they start buying stocks when everything's down. And so he could just be purposely crashing the economy so that he can build it up and his buddies make a bunch of money and he can also say, "Ooh, I saved the economy."
Well, every time the economy crashes, the billionaires, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. It's a transfer of wealth every time. And if you look right now, Warren Buffett, who definitely is on the left, but Warren Buffett, Zuck, Elon, Peter Thiel, Andreessen, all of them have pulled almost all of their holdings out of the stock market. So they think a crash is coming. And they're going
Yeah.
to wait to do just what I told you to do a second ago. They're going to wait till it hits the bottom and starts to come back up. Then they're going to pump back in and they're going to make a lot as it rises again.
Mhm.
But if you look at what the billionaires are doing, the billionaires definitely think there's a crash coming. I think we're about due for one. We had one in 90, was it 91? And then we had one in 2008. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we're about due for another crash. And what's sad is it was avoidable this time. Like it really has
Yeah.
been avoidable.
Yeah.
And Fox News, I've been watching them too much in the last couple of days, but they keep saying, "Oh, well, it turns out the Biden economy wasn't as strong as we thought it was. It's starting to falter." And it's like, well, hold on. If the market crashes, you're going to try to convince your people that this is Biden's fault. That the economy that Biden handed off was doing pretty good. It wasn't doing great. It was doing good. It was growing 2.83% GDP on average, good steady growth. So when it crashes, it's going to be hysterical to watch them try to turn and go, oh, well, this is the remnants of the Biden economy. Oh, it's going to be infuriating. So, what we get to look forward to, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll, we'll reconvene tonight after the State of the Not Union address.
Get ready to hate the Mexicans because that's what we're going to learn tonight. So, all right. I'll
All
talk to you
right,
soon,
like,
buddy.
subscribe.
Find
We
us on
got a
Blue
random
Sky.
we got a random follower the other day.
Heck yeah.
So they said it came through in their algorithm. So
We're not
appreciate.
doing great when we notice one new follower. It's like we went from 7 to 8 or whatever it is. So
All right, I
yeah.
think we have 20 now.
Uh-oh, 20. Look out. We're coming for
Dang,
the mainstream.
coming on. Like,
Yep.
subscribe, message us. We'll message you back. We don't have
Yeah.
anything else to
Find us on Blue
do.
Sky. What's our Blue Sky handle?
Confident Idiocracy Pod.
Okay, and I'm Confident Idiot Andy on Blue Sky.
Yep.
And yeah, all right. Have a good night. Enjoy the State of the Union. Get your popcorn.
All right. Talk to you later.
Later.
Bye.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.